Want to thank everyone for joining us this morning for our topic: tools and techniques for training your remote workforce. Lot of stuff we want to cover this morning, and so we're going to jump right in and jump into that. We will have a time for question and answer at the end. So if you guys come up with any questions during the course of the discussion this morning, go ahead and write those down as you're going through, so you remember them, and then we'll spend some time answering those at the end. All right, so. Just a brief introduction on myself. My name is Michael Pickering. I am the president and co-founder of Tech42, and we are a technology service provider in northeastern Pennsylvania, and providing all-encompassing technology solutions to small, medium businesses in the area. I've been doing this for a little over 25 years, and I've had the really cool distinction of having a dual background both in network engineering and software development. Pretty unusual in our industry. Usually people focus on one or the other, but I've just really enjoyed both. But it's really given me a lot of perspective on how things fit together and how network and technology all comes together to really work for a business, which is what I'm really passionate about. It's really about that human and technology interaction and how we make technology really work well and efficiently for the people that have to use it, the employees and businesses in our region. All right, so let's jump right in. And I wanted to start out talking this morning a little bit about a little bit of educational theory. As of next week, I will have been married for 14 years to an educator, and my wife has her master's degree in education and is just an educator at heart. So I've learned a lot from her over time, and it's really kind of helped define some of the conversation, how I think about instruction and teaching, and it's kind of important if you're going to start to train people that you understand a little bit about some of the science behind how you train people. So I wanted to share a little bit the stages of learning, because this has really helped me. I know I'm kind of one who tends to learn very rapidly, and I learn in certain ways, very specific ways, and sometimes I can become a little impatient with people who don't learn the same way as I do or don't learn at the same pace. And some of this has really helped me learn how to be a better trainer and better communicator, to be able to communicate knowledge to my staff and even to my customers. So I just wanted, there's like 4 stages of learning here. And the stage that we all kind of start out at is we call stage 1. It's the unconscious incompetence. And it's the place where I don't know what I don't know, and I need a trainer. I need someone to teach me and take me on the journey. And that's where most of our staff begins when they come to us. There's a certain amount that they don't know, they're unaware of. And we really, our whole job in training is to bring them out of that stage, right? So they become useful, effective employees that don't have to be monitored, but can be productive within our businesses. And kind of the concept behind there is I do as the instructor and you watch, right? I want to do something from the watch. Of course, we're talking about this morning training a remote workforce, and really a lot of this kind of goes back and forth, but in a remote workforce, that becomes very challenging. How do we let people watch what we're doing? So we're going to talk a little bit about that this morning. Stage 2 of this learning journey is conscious incompetence, and it's where I go to the point of I'm aware of things that I don't know right now. I'm aware that there's things I need to learn. I want to learn. I have desire to learn. And, we're starting down that path. All right. But we need to give them resources. And kind of the thought behind this is I'm still doing, but now I'm letting someone help with the process. I'm giving them some responsibility, some limited responsibility. Stage 3 is conscious competence. All right, we've trained them. They have a pretty good idea of how things are supposed to work, but they got to think about it. They got to focus on it. It's not autonomous yet. They're still, and sometimes there might be some mistakes, and we still want to give them some framework and some grid work and some reinforcement wrapped around the things that we're trying to train and teach them how to do. And kind of the language now we're doing is you do, but I'm going to watch. I'm going to keep an eye on you, make sure you're doing things right, making sure you're staying within the lane lines, and everything is working properly. And then stage 4 is where we really, ultimately want to bring all of our employees to is unconscious competence, right? Where they can just do it. It's automatic, it's habit, it's nature. They don't even have to think about it. They just do the job and they do it right most of the time. And kind of the thought behind that is you do. Now others get to watch. Now the point is now I don't have to train all of my staff anymore. I can start to delegate and push that out to other people. Although that does start to introduce some problems. Right? One is consistency in the process. Are they training them the same way I would train them? Or have they introduced some shortcuts that maybe I don't like so much? Or did I, because I was unconsciously competent when I began teaching them, that I gloss over things that maybe were important, but they didn't really understand or get in that point? So this is kind of the stages of learning. It's really important to understand where the trainee is at, in this cycle, the things that they need, the different resources they need. And we're going to talk a little bit about how to provide those resources to your workforce, whether remote or on-prem. So that's where we're going to go. So some of the challenges, the training challenge, and we're really kind of talking about, if you don't have a formal or documented plan for training staff, it requires a significant amount of your key resource time. Your highest and most valuable employees, it takes a lot of time for them to train people, right? And so part of what we want to do is help reduce that time spent. Consistency, as I mentioned before, because you are so unconsciously competent, consistency is rarely attained. You don't do it the same way every time or exactly the same way, right? And we really want to make sure we're driving a high level of consistency. We want to make sure processes get done the same way every time to make sure that they're done efficiently and quality. Schedule coordination. So this really does talk to the remote workforce, is because now I don't know about your businesses, but I know a lot of our clients and ourselves, we're being a little bit flexible right now with schedules, and we're trying to coordinate with people who have childcare issues. And some people are working mornings, some people are afternoons, some people are working evenings. We got a lot of flexibility right now. So when it comes time to say, hey, I need to train you, need to teach you, sometimes it can be very challenging. And I know even with myself, mornings are very busy for me, and some of my employees are only working in the morning, right? So that becomes very difficult to coordinate with them. So one of the things is we want to free that up, let them train when it works for them, when their time is free. Details are overlooked, right? We go through things so fast or so quickly, or just because we're so unconsciously competent, we aren't including details that are very important to our process that we want to make sure get done. It's a challenge. Repetition is crucial. So there's 4 stages of learning. For me, I'd like to just be able to sit down with a given employee and say, all right, here's how to do it. I do it one time and it's theirs, right? But that's not a realistic expectation. We need reinforcement. We need repetition for them to be able to learn and learn well. And how do we do that without it just being a real time drain on our key resources? And then lastly, not everyone learns at the same pace or the same way. Some people are visual learners. Some people are auditory learners. They learn best when they hear. Some people learn best by being tactile, by doing something. So we need to try to provide ways for people to learn that kind of encompass the range of how people learn to make sure that they're absorbing the information efficiently and effectively. So some of the goals of what we want to accomplish, and this is kind of just recasting what we just talked about a little bit, but we want to allow our key resources, or maybe our most valuable, knowledgeable resources, to really focus in on the most important tasks. And often that isn't training. We need training to be done, but we don't want them to spend time there because there are more important things we need them doing. We want to create really highly repeatable and scalable processes. We really want to be able to take those key resources and let them do something once and then let it run without them, right? Let it be very repeatable, and so that they don't have to keep spending that time. And we can use things that we're doing over and over and over again so we can move on to the next thing. We want to ensure that no details are glossed over. We want to permit users to train when and where most effective to them. So when and where, that really, we talked a little bit about when, but where is also becoming more and more important. They can't be in our office. They can't be in our facilities in front of our computers. So we really want to make sure that we're finding ways to distribute that knowledge in a broad manner. And then allow users to review training as often as needed. So again, sometimes different people learn a little bit slower. They want to be able to go back and review it. So we're going to talk about how to do some of that. So the solution to this is, one, it needs to be web-based. We need to be able to distribute and disseminate this information using the internet, being online, right? So that they can get to it wherever they are. It needs to be secured, right? We don't want to just give this knowledge to the whole world. Some of this might be very proprietary information, but we want to make sure that they can get to it in their homes, from their phones or laptops, whatever. And web is really the most effective tool to do that. We want to include video and text. We don't want to do just one or the other because, again, we said that different learners learn at different speeds, but also because sometimes we need different things. Like up front, a video sometimes is very effective to teach a solution or walk somebody through it. But maybe the next time, after they've moved through those stages of learning, right, they just need a quick refresher. You know what, you showed me this last month. I knew how to do it then. I did it right. But I know there was like 5 steps and I can't remember what step 4 is. So that's where if we have a written set of steps, they can go back very quickly, refresh themselves, say, oh yeah, now I remember what that was. So we want to have a combination of the two to accomplish different ranges of learners and different people in different stages of learning. It needs to be searchable, right? I don't sometimes know exactly, oh, what was this process? What was it called? I don't remember the name. So we need to make sure this is searchable. That's where we can't just have a pile of Word docs, or even, I even feel like, the days of having the typed out, handheld, 3-ring binder employee manual are gone. It's just not useful. It's not efficient anymore. We have such better tools. So that's, again, why we're advocating for a technological tool. And then customize content to your business and your procedures. It needs to be very dynamic, so that you can say, hey, we want to start doing something different today, right? We're going to come up with a new process or a new strategy, and we want to be able to communicate this out to everyone in real time right now and distribute it. So these are some of the solutions that we're going to talk about. So what are the tools? What are the tools that we're going to use to accomplish this? So, and we're going to break here in just a minute. I'm going to stop the actual screen share, and we're going to go to I'm going to actually demonstrate some of these tools and show you how some of them work. But the first tool that we use is a tool called Confluence, and it is a web-based tool that allows for the sharing and the cataloging of all this information. So I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen or my PowerPoint right now. And let me just stop this for a second. And I'm going to actually show you what Confluence looks like. So let's see here. And I still got my screen shared out. And I'm just going to drag my Confluence screen right up there for you guys to see. All right, here we go. And this is Confluence is a web-based tool, and it's offered in two different manners. One is you can either just purchase it from them directly. They host it in their server. You pay a monthly subscription to it. I think for up to the first 10 users, it's $10 a month, so very affordable. And it lets you kind of create these pages and spaces. So I created a space for us this morning that I call our remote training demo. And spaces are really just kind of logical groupings of content that you want to wrap around. So internally, we have a bunch of different spaces that we use. We have a different space for each one of our customers. We have very specific customer information where we're documenting key stuff that we want to know about our customers. We have internal stuff. We have administration stuff. We have financial stuff, all kind of broken out into different groupings. But again, wrapped around communicating information to our staff in a quick manner. And so that's what this is. And this is pretty easy to use. I can just come up here and click create. Tell it I want to create a new page, right? I want to start with a blank page, and I want to build a document that says, how to talk about training. And I hit publish, and now I've just built a document. And these documents, and you'll see it kind of shows up on my menu here. These are completely searchable. They're completely indexable, and they're editable. So I can even come back in here and say, all right, I created a header, but there's nothing really useful here. Let's edit it. We want to throw in, maybe we want to throw a table out there. We've got lots of different information, and we want to organize it into a table type portion. And so this might be row 1, username, password. We're going to keep some information out here for people. So this is kind of text-based type documentation. I can also do steps to resolve. I want to give them a step-by-step instruction on how to do something. So 1, do this. 2, do that. And then I can publish this. And this becomes a living document that's now in my ecosphere that all of my staff, all my colleagues can view. And you'll even see I kind of threw one here real quick yesterday on how to create a training video, right? Step 1, create an outline of content. Step 2, practice talking, walking through. And we're going to show you some tools for doing training videos. But text-based, web-based information, this is so valuable. This has been huge in our organization. And it's really cut down a lot of, my staff coming to me and say, hey, can you tell me how to do this? Or I need help with this. And really empowering them to get solutions to their own problems, to get answers for their own challenges, right? And we've really just been encouraging all of our clients to start to onboarding with this type of product where they're documenting all of the processes. I read this wonderful book years ago called The E-Myth, written by a guy named Michael Gerber, and he talked about how Ray Kroc, the guy who put McDonald's on the map, did it, and it was really all wrapped around. He wrote manuals for everything. He said, here's how we want to do it. We want the process to be consistent. We want it to come out the same way every time. And so they would write these documents on how every job was supposed to be done down to specific details. Right? And we know whether you like McDonald's food or not, there's no arguing that McDonald's by far and away has had some of the greatest commercial success as a restaurant and as a franchise on the planet to this point. And this was how Ray Kroc accredited doing it, is he documented his systems and processes so they were very consistent and very efficient in an organization. So this is just a really great tool. There are other tools out there. This is the one that we like and we've used, but there's a lot of them out there. And you can mix in this video and textual content, as I was talking about how both are important. So this is an example of textual content. But I recorded a video here yesterday, and you can drop a video right here on the page. It can be viewed at any time. So I'm going to show you this in a few minutes as we start talking about video recording solutions. But just a couple things I want to point out to you why a tool like Confluence is so important and valuable. Not only is it easy to use and lets you create these pages, but it really gives you a lot of granularity in different areas. One of them being page history. So I can come in here and I can see everybody who's made a change to this document forever. So say I'm going to edit a document, but maybe I'm letting an employee edit it and a manager edit it, and we can see everything that's been done, who changed what when, and really have some history behind it so we know what's going on with the document and who's feeding into this. We can also create page restrictions, which are security parameters, right? And I said before, like, we have financial documentation in our platform, but I have that limited down to just the key people. I certainly don't want our entire staff seeing that information. We want just the people that need that, so we can create restrictions on who gets to see what information, who has access to it, and that's really important and useful as well. We also have these abilities to export documents out to PDF or Word documents. So hey, I need to share a document. There's been many times when I've said, hey, I want to share one of these documents with one of my clients, right? We have a procedure for one of their systems. They need to be able to see it. I export it off to a PDF and I can email it right out to them. So it's not just the web content, but I can actually carry it out into other methods and other mediums to be able to share that kind of stuff. There's also the concept of analytics in here. So you can understand, hey, how well is this page getting used? Is my staff looking at it? Are they using it, or is it getting ignored? And that can help drive communication to your staff. Say, hey, staff, do you know that we put this video out here for you to watch to train you? And it's out there, and I don't think you're aware of it because I'm looking at my analytics and I'm seeing, hey, there's only been, in this instance, there's only been one user has viewed it. Not everybody's looked at it. So I know that it hasn't gained the embracement that I'd like to have at my organization, and I can kind of drive that through other means. So that's really important too, to be able to understand how well these things are being communicated. And then also, like almost any good social media type tool, right, there's comments. And this is where a lot of times in our organization, we'll see people saying, hey, this was really useful to me, but it would really be more useful if you included these 3 steps, or can you clarify more around this certain process, right? So it allows us to have a little bit of dialogue, but also track it with the content in real time. So really important stuff that's useful to us. And again, like I said, this is pretty affordable. You can sign up and set up a Confluence account probably in about 15, 20 minutes, get rolling. It's $10 a month for up to 10 users, and then it goes up from there. And there's also an on-premise version. That's what we actually run internally, is the on-prem version. Gives you a little bit more flexibility with being able to back up your data. There's extra added plugins and stuff you can add on to kind of customize how it works. But you're kind of very, very flexible in how you use that. So that's kind of, the first tool we want to talk about is just really being able to make it web-based. The other thing that's really cool with this is it does have a mobile app where you can use your mobile phone or a tablet to tie into this as well. So it's not just web browser based. It is very mobile. So you can give your people really the ability to access it from just about anywhere. So the second tool we wanted to look at is kind of the concept of how do I create video. Video is so useful and so engaging. And even with being able to show people how to do computer-based tasks, especially in a remote environment, the ability to be able to record yourself doing something on a screen is super, super valuable. So I'm going to share this video with you real quick that I have here. And this is a video I created yesterday for the purpose of sharing with you guys today. But really, just a quick video I made showing how to use the Zoom or RingCentral meeting tool, the same tool we're using right now to do this webinar, how to use it to record content that you can share. So this was really just a RingCentral video that I recorded and then posted up here, which is something I began doing a lot of, right? If I have an employee call me and say, hey, can you show me how to do something I'm training on? I say, hey, let's jump in a RingCentral meeting and I'm going to record it for you. And then I'll walk them through the process of here's how you do this task. I record it, and then I post it up to something like this later, so that a week or a month from now, when they say, hey, I need to do that again, they don't have to call me and use up my time again. They can just go out to our system, grab the video, and watch exactly what we did again, and have their memory refreshed and it reinforced. So here's this video for you real quick. All right, well, good afternoon and welcome. This is a training video on how to create training videos. And the tool that we're going to be demonstrating is a pretty simple tool that a lot of people have been using in recent months, the RingCentral or Zoom meeting tool that you're probably familiar with, doing some interactive webinars and training and so on. But one of the cool features of it is the ability not only to share a screen with everyone that's in your conference, but also to record the content. And that's the tool we're going to really look at this afternoon. So I'm going to go ahead and share out my screen right now. I'm going to share the screen. It's got my video on it. And so I'm just picking that. You could also pick, you can pick specific applications if you just want the application to show up. A few different things that you can do here, but we're going to share out the entire screen. Click share. And now it's blank because I don't have anything out there at the moment. But I'm going to drag my web browser up here into this. Actually, before we do that, there's one other step. I got to tell it to record. All right, so we're going to tell it, hey, we want to record our session on this computer. So it starts that little recording, and you can see right there's a little recording capture. So all this is being recorded to a video file that we can use later. And then I'm just going to drag, here's my web browser window, and this is a web page that we're building out our training library. And you can see here I already created a page here on how to create a training video. So let's just, for the sake of this video, we're going to create one more page. Click blank page and create. And then we'll give it a name and say this is a RingCentral video conference recording. Awesome. Oh man, if I could spell, we live in the dream. There we go. And we'll go ahead and publish that. And then after we save this, what we'll do is we'll save our video that we're making right up to this page so that it can be watched later. So let's go ahead and do that. We'll stop the share. And then we're going to stop our recording. And what's going to happen here now, I'm going to exit out of RingCentral and leave my meeting. And then once you leave the meeting, you're going to get this window here that shows you that the video is being converted. So that video gets converted, and we'll come back here in a minute when that's done and show you what to do with it. So hold on just for a minute. Okay, so our recording finished converting to a format that we can use. And if you hit record and stop more than once, there might be two videos here. So I got two different videos from my recording session. But what we can do then is take those videos and directly upload them into our web session here. So we're going to go ahead and we'll edit this page. And then we're going to go grab our video session that we just did, and we're going to drag that right up in here and say copy that up for us. And there you can see it just dropped our video session. We'll actually put both of these in here because they might both be useful to us. Drops them in sequentially. We can hit publish. And now what we've effectively done is we've recorded some video and we've saved it to where our team can review it for demonstration purposes later. Pretty awesome. Thanks for joining us for this video. All right, so really quick little demonstration there on how you can create video content for your employees, for your staff, to train them. And just using a tool like Zoom or RingCentral Meetings, which lets you share screens, they can see exactly what you're doing, follow along with it. And again, Zoom, RingCentral Meetings, very cost effective. You can get a basic Zoom or RingCentral meeting account for free. There's a few limitations on it, but everything I just did in that video is included in the free account. And you can use that. I also, like I said, I use this all the time for, employee calls me and says, hey, I need to know how to do something. So let's jump on a meeting. I'll show you how to do it right now. And I don't even leave my desk. But it's super important to capture that so you're not repeating that, right? You're making it repeatable for them, but not repeatable for your time expenditure. The next thing I wanted to talk about was another tool that I use, and I'm not going to, in the interest of time, I'm not going to go super deep into it this morning, but it's a tool called the Movavi Video Suite. This is right now, it's normally about $150, but it's on sale for until the end of the month, I think, for $79.95. And this does a couple things, but one of the cool things that it does is it records, allows us to record a computer screen. and it's pretty easy to use. That's one of the reasons I like this. I've played with a lot of different video capture software, but this one has been one of the probably simplest ones to use. And it gives me let me just drag this over so you guys can see it. It gives us a little toolbar here, and you can capture a webcam. You can tell it which screen you want to display. I have a few different screens here. And then just tell it to record. And what it's going to do is it's going to record the audio if you want to do voiceover, if you want to do web camera so they can see you or not. But you can tell it to record a screen. So kind of similar to what we just did with the RingCentral, but maybe if you just want to do it standalone, you don't want to be on a RingCentral meeting or whatever, and you just want to record a process, right? Here's how to get into our line of business software. Here's how to add a customer. Here's how to run some sort of reporting cycle or billing cycle. You can record this very easily. You just hit record, and it records whatever you do on the screen until you tell it to stop. And then it just creates, just like you just saw with RingCentral, it just creates a video file that, again, you just drag and drop right into something like Confluence. And now everybody in your organization can see exactly how you did it and follow along with it. And then we begin building out these libraries of content, in like a platform of Confluence, and it very rapidly can become just a very useful tool. But that kind of brings me to my last point. I'm going to go back to my slideshow here real quick, and let's see here. Go back to my slideshow, and we want to jump right out to this slide here. So we talked about Confluence, we talked about Zoom and RC Meeting, Movavi, but your team, definitely probably one of the most important things in this whole creation process of building documentation, getting training done, is oftentimes I'll see, kind of the office manager or certain key resources kind of taking on the entire burden of training and training future staff. And I think it's such a mistake. One of the things that we did here that was super effective and super powerful is we actually created what we called our documentation task force. And we had them meet just a few times a month. Early on, I think they were meeting like twice a week, and then we kind of tapered off later on. But it was really about creating alignment, right? It was like, hey, what are the best practices? How is everybody accomplishing a certain task that we do repeatedly? And what are your best tips, tricks to make it work well? And kind of using the collective knowledge to make sure we're capturing that in the documents we're creating. And then, so we're creating alignment within our organization. But then we also were using that to say, all right, what are the most important things that we need to document? So we're creating some agenda, some priorities, and then allowing them as a team to review the documentation was built. So if I wrote something, giving them the ability to say, hey, Mike, we understand where you're coming from, but we often don't do it this way, and here's why. But it also gave me insight into how my employees are doing things, how things may be shifted since I started doing it. And, some of the things I said, oh, wait a minute, I'm not sure if that's the most healthy of practice. Let's talk about that. And then some things say, oh, wow, I'm glad you guys learned how to do that. That's so much more powerful and effective than how I did it. Yeah, let's make that the way to do it. So kind of give us a little bit of ability to review how we did things in an organization. And then we assign things, right? And sometimes we said, hey, so-and-so's kind of really become a master of this certain process. Let's let them write the documentation on it. And then, of course, we'll all review it, make sure we're all good with it, make sure they wrote it, kind of to our standard, and it's thoroughly, it's not just, bullet points, but there's some, deep content to it. And, but utilize your team. Don't try to do this in a vacuum. Utilize your team. But you can very rapidly build out a training platform like this, documentation platform, within a matter of months. And then it becomes this long-lasting resource that you can push out to your entire team. You give new hires access to it, existing team members that have to cover for other team members. And that's another thing, often we see so often in small businesses where one team member has a significant body of knowledge. And if they're out sick or unavailable or whatever, all of a sudden we're crippled as an organization because only so-and-so knows how to do it. And this really lets us take that body of knowledge, embed it in a technological solution, and then say, hey, if that person's out sick, it doesn't matter, because now I, as the owner, can go in and I understand how the process is done, or I can delegate to someone else and say, hey, go look at so-and-so's documentation and get this thing done. And it really makes our organizations a lot more flexible, a lot more dynamic. We're insulated against loss of staff or sickness or whatever, because we have this body of knowledge documented thoroughly and captured. And I think this is going to become more and more important. We're kind of moving through the last stages of our current bout with COVID-19, but there's some talk that there could be a resurgence later in the year or even next year. And what's it going to look like if we have to start, which I don't think many of us have done, but if we have to start onboarding employees during a social distancing type situation where we have to work from home thing. I can't sit and show you the same way as I did before. I can't sit and watch you the same way I did before. So we have to start building out these platforms that kind of define what good looks like, defines the standards. And, I don't know about your organizations, but in mine, I often find that when I'm in the office with people, they're much more likely to come to my office or, wave their hand and ask me a question. But when we're in a distributed environment, they don't ask, they don't call. They'll just either assume or don't do. But if they have a system where they can go readily get the information for themselves, they'll use it and they'll get the information they need. They'll continue to be productive and they'll be doing things the way the organization, the way I as the owner and the way we've determined as a team is the right way, the best way to get things done, and it gets done consistently. All right, so that's what I have to share. I know that was a kind of a whirlwind overview of kind of how to create a training solution and some of what we've done. There's lots of other answers out there wrapped around this. This is kind of what we've done. It's been really effective for us. We've begun to help some of our clients with this and implement this, so we're really kind of excited about that. But we're available if anybody that watches this or is in the session today has more questions. We'd love to dive deeper into any aspect of this with you, assist you with these tools and getting up and running with them if you need that. But with that said, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to open it up for questions. So we got the chat session there. You're welcome to use that chat session and or raise your hand if you have a question, and we'll take those kind of one at a time. So I'm looking right now, and my first question that I see out there that I have on the board is, let's see here, how secure is Confluence for holding all of our business documents? And that is a super great question. And especially as an IT organization, it's something that was really keen in our minds right from the get-go. It's pretty secure is the answer, quite secure. We had some questions about the level of security with the hosted product. We started out just paying the vendor, the name of the vendor is Atlassian, to host it. We started there. But there was a few things that we ran into that gave us a little bit of pause for security. Not so much the login, but just the security in their servers. So we decided to bring it into our own data center and run it on our own server, which was pretty easily done and could easily be done for you. But a couple of things that let us do is, one, there was an add-on that we could get that allowed us to encrypt key data. One of the key things that was important for us to be able to encrypt was passwords. We keep quite a number of passwords in our systems, and we wanted to make sure if we were doing that, that they all had a level of password protection, a level of limiting who could access those passwords, and auditing, right? We wanted to know who accessed those passwords when, and there's a plugin that you can acquire for Confluence that lets you do all of that. So that was a key thing for us. Also, we wanted to make sure that we had control of the backup, that we knew that all this data, we're putting all this energy and all this time into building the system. We want to make sure that it never got lost and we could back it up. So that was one of the things we were also able to accomplish by putting it on our own servers, was the ability to back it up every night and to know those backups are being run and to be able to do the restores if we wanted to. So that's something that was very important to us. We also were able to, and this is something I'd highly encourage you if you implement one of these solutions, we were able to set up multi-factor authentication on it. Which is the concept of not just having a username and password, but having another form of validating who you are and your employees. And we use a solution that basically sends a one-time use code to our cell phone. You might have seen this with like a bank or a 401k type provider, something like that. Financial institutions use this a lot. But that two-factor thing. So after they put their password in, it comes up, asks for the secondary code that only goes to their device. So that if their password is compromised, the data is still protected. So those were all the security concerns we put into it. But excellent question. Thank you for asking that. Next question, are there training videos available for RingCentral and or Confluence? RingCentral, definitely. They do have a variety of things. They also have, if you sign up with them, they also will do live training for your team and have some of that available. I don't know about Confluence, quite frankly. I would imagine there probably are. We kind of created our own stuff as we were going through it and built some of our own standards about how Confluence documents need to be built. We trained our own team internally on how to do it once we kind of defined our standard. But I would guess there probably are stuff out there. If there's not, that's something we could certainly assist you with. But something I might even challenge you to do yourself is to maybe build out some of your own documents, because one of the things we really didn't really get into, but we learned is super important in building systems, is you've got to build a standard, one on how documents are built, and then two on how they're organized, because otherwise it can just become just a big pile of junk that, even though it's searchable, it still kind of, tends to be, arduous. So we ended up defining standards of, here's where data goes, here's kind of the tree structure. We even created templates for certain data that we always want this template used and the data laid out on the page in this way. So we kind of zeroed in that pretty tightly, because we wanted everybody to be able to create documents. A lot of people, we didn't want just to be me or key leaders. We wanted everybody to be able to create these, but we wanted to make sure we maintain consistency. So that was really important in our organization and how we accomplished some of that. All right, any other questions? I don't see anything popping up on the board there. I don't see any hands getting raised just yet. Give you just a couple more seconds for that if anything pops into your mind. All right. Well, hey, again, thank you everybody that joined us today, and everybody that ends up picking up the video on YouTube, Facebook, whatever, social media. Glad you watched it. My information's there on the screen. So if you have questions after this, you are more than welcome to email me at that address, or give me a call, or you can visit our website at tech42llc.com, learn a little bit more about our organization. And we'd love to answer any questions around this or technology or anything we could do really to engage and support local businesses through this time. So thank you again, and just want to wish everyone a great rest of your day.